Howdy from Texas. I'm John Eder. Not your typical Chinese brush artist. What did you expect? However, I'm very passionate about this wonderful art form, and today I'd like to do several things. I'd like to correct the mistakes I made last time. I want you to realize that I do know the difference between an ink stick and an ink stone. However, in the last video, I tended to describe this as an ink stone. I know very well it's not. So do you. This looks like a stick, doesn't it? It's an ink stick. And this is an ink stone, a Duan ink stone. Today I want to talk about another mistake I made. Last time I said that about 250 years ago, the Chinese decided to make ink sticks by burning a pine log under a big pottery bowl and scraping the soot out and mixing it with glue to form an ink stick. That wasn't 250 years ago. That was more like 250 or 300 before the Common Era, 250 or 300 BC. Just a small minor correction there. But I hope you understood. Maybe I was nervous. Maybe I'm nervous right now. I don't think I am, but I probably am. Anyway, I'm really excited to talk to you today about the first thing you really need to learn about Chinese brush painting, and that's how to hold the brush. And I'll demonstrate a few strokes later on. Today I'm going to use I'm going to show you two different brushes. This is the fine mountain horse brush. It's the fine version. There are also large, extra large, medium, so on. But this is a fine mountain horse brush. I have wet this so that it will easily form a point, as you can see. Now, this other brush is a sheep brush. These fibers are made from sheep hair, I guess. And I left it dry so that I can show you how it will form a point. I've got my little water bowl and I'll dip it in water and it will form a point. All these Chinese brushes, these wonderful Chinese brushes, come to a point, and that's what makes the stroke so important. Because they come to a point. I'm going to demonstrate here in a minute. But let's talk about how to hold the brush. The first lesson I try to let people know about is that the brush is held more like a chopstick. We don't paint like this. We paint holding the brush in a more upright position. So the first thing I try to tell my students is put two fingers on one side and a thumb on the other side. And then put your ring finger and your little finger behind that, and that'll hold your brush pretty much upright. Now the traditional Chinese method is more in your palm, and it's still very upright, but it seems to me it's easier to teach people that start with your thumb and two fingers, your first finger and middle finger, and try to form a hole in here. Some of the teachers, the Chinese ancient people, tried to make sure you had enough room to hold an egg in there. So hold the brush upright, and that's the first thing. It may seem a little uncomfortable at first, but once you get used to that, you hold the brush in an upright position, and your strokes can be laid down flat or held upright, and you pretty soon get used to holding it. If you're going to do a big broad stroke, you may hold the brush high on the bamboo handle, or if you're going to make a smaller, tighter stroke, you may hold the brush lower toward the tip. So holding the brush for me is with the two fingers and thumb and the ring finger and little finger behind it. I'd like to demonstrate a little bit of the strokes. Well, first I'm going to make ink. I've showed you before a little bit about making ink. I'll put some water on the ink stone, and all I do is take the ink stick and put it on the stone flat and just make circles slowly. And I think you can see how black immediately forms on this ink stone. And the ink stick, of course, is made with a little glue, so this loosens the pigment, and very quickly I have a real nice dark black color, and it's rolling, it's moving very smoothly over the ink stone. You may think you grind your ink. It's called grinding the ink, but in reality the stone is very, very smooth to the touch, and it just makes that ink quickly, and it's part of the therapeutic part of this art for me. I really, when I take my time and begin a painting, grinding the ink on the ink stone, the ink stick on the ink stone, is very, very therapeutic for me. It relaxes you. It allows you to focus on what you're going to paint. And there's my black ink. So I'm going to try holding the brush the proper way, or the way I hold it. And it's become not real uncomfortable for me. I can pretty much hold it this way without any trouble. And when I load the brush, I'll lay it down on its side flat and just roll the tip in the ink. And now I have a loaded brush. And I painted this last Saturday at a class I took at Emerald Art Institute. And it was a class on painting in 10 minutes or less. So I did this in probably 3 minutes. And it's supposed to be goldfish, and I think you'll be able to see it. And all I'm going to do is hold this brush upright and make a stroke. And what I did at that point is make an eye of the fish. I put that eye in the fish. And that concludes today's little visit about holding the brush. As I said again, I'm passionate about Chinese brush painting, and I hope you'll come back and visit with me again. Until then, we'll see you again from Texas. Bye.